The quarterback conversation continues. Is Sam Leavitt a legit option for Tennessee under center?
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into it, your Thursday morning Locked On Vols. I am your host, Cain. Thank you so much for being here and making Locked On Vols part of your morning routine, your first watch, your first listen. Each and every single day, every dayers could not do this show without you. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every single day. Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcasting network available. And we got a busy show. We talked Ty Simpson yesterday on the realistic chances that he could be Tennessee's quarterback. They were slim. I said repeatedly I thought he was going pro, and turns out, good thing I posted that episode when I did, because earlier on Wednesday it was reported that Ty Simpson is going to go pro. But late on I guess it was Tuesday night, it was reported by our good friend Austin Price over at VolQuest.com that Arizona State transfer quarterback Sam Leavitt was going to be on campus, coming in for a Wednesday night visit into Thursday. And this is the first time Tennessee's had any real traction in the quarterback market. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk with Caleb Jarreau later in the show about Tennessee's win over Texas. Some other names in the transfer portal that have been brought to our attention. Some visitors that were on campus on Wednesday. Some more coming up on Thursday. All that and more right here on your Thursday Locked On Vols. So Sam Leavitt, the number one ranked player, in the Rivals industry rankings transfer portal, the On3 transfer portal. Rivals On3, same thing. On3 transfer portal. And he's a guy that has a whole lot of success. Began his career at Michigan State, was a part of the class of 2023. He redshirted that year, transferred to Arizona State in his first year with the Sun Devils. He led his team to a college football playoff berth and had a fantastic season as a first-year starter, a redshirt freshman. This past year in 2025, he missed a good stretch of games. I think he only played in 7 games. Dealt with a foot injury, and whoever gets his commitment, he's likely going to miss spring practice because he's dealing with that foot injury coming off surgery. But a guy that has just done a lot as a starting quarterback in terms of being productive. 34 touchdowns, 9 interceptions as a starting quarterback for the Sun Devils the past 2 years. He's thrown for 4,513 yards. Also during that stretch, he has rushed for 743 yards and 10 touchdowns on the ground. So he's a guy that is very, very mobile, a guy that you can call design runs plays for, a guy that can tuck the football and run when things aren't open, a guy that can create for himself. And we know Tennessee loves to run the quarterback on 4th down, loves to run the quarterback in short yardage situations, and loves to run the quarterback in the red zone, specifically within the 10-yard line. So I think Sam Leavitt would be a very, very enticing prospect in this offense. I mean, he can sling it all over the place. The completion percentage is not as high as you want it. In those 2 years at Arizona State, he threw for 61.3%, which is not horrible, but I wouldn't say that that's spectacular completion percentage. But a guy that's just been really, really productive. Yeah, look at the completion percentage. In 2024, he threw for 61.7. In 2025, he threw for 60.7. Just a phenomenal year as the quarterback for Arizona State when they went to the CFP in 2024, along with Tennessee. He threw for 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That year as well, he ran for 443 yards and 5 touchdowns. They used him on the ground more this past year before his injury. He already had 306 yards on the ground with 5 touchdowns before his injury this year. So, again, a guy that there was a little bit of drama, it felt like. Will he enter the portal? Won't he enter the portal? Kenny Dillingham, what he had to say about that, and talked about how he's always going to be friends, or they're going to be close and all that. He didn't show up to the banquet. I remember seeing stuff about that a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it is what it is. There's always something drama-filled in college football nowadays. But, I mean, this is a really good player. I mean, there's going to be haters and everything. There's going to be people that don't like your game. But of the quarterback options, I mean, gosh, man, Sam Leavitt is arguably the best one. It's a really, really good quarterback. And again, he's ranked number 1 in the transfer portal for a reason. So, I forgot to mention this in terms of, what he's accomplished. In 2024, he was the Big 12 newcomer of the year. He was the Big 12 freshman of the year. And he's receiving a lot of interest right now. So how realistic is Tennessee's chances here? Well, at the time of this recording, I don't even know if he's on campus yet. Like he scheduled to be on campus Wednesday evening. Okay, and we know how things can change a mile a minute. So if he doesn't end up showing up on campus, maybe I'll have to go back here and do some serious editing. But it's expected to be on campus Wednesday evening, and with the visit starting Wednesday night and carrying on into Thursday. He's coming from LSU. We saw the picture of him and Lane Kiffin at the LSU basketball game the other night. That was making the rounds on social media. Interestingly, the news about Williams, the Washington quarterback, about how he signed, re-upped his deal, reportedly $4 million or whatever, and then he jumped in the portal again, and now Washington's trying to block it. That whole mess is so ugly, but immediately when it was reported that he was going to jump into the portal, LSU was going to be the front runner. And like those reports were swirling while Lane Kiffin and Sam Leavitt were sitting right next to one another at the basketball game the other night. So I found that super interesting. He's been penciled in to go to LSU. At once upon a time, he was penciled in to go to Kentucky. And once upon a time, that's why I was trying to think about where Sam Leavitt was going on a show earlier this week, because at one point in time, it felt like Cutter Boley was going to Arizona State, which he did, and Sam Leavitt might end up at Kentucky, the old quarterback switcheroo. Now, Kentucky's found its starting quarterback with Will Stein, the new head coach there. LSU has, been talked about with Texas Tech a little bit. Obviously, they went Brendan Sorsby. Leavitt has been talked about with Texas Tech. Obviously, they went Sorsby. LSU's been talking about, getting Sam Leavitt. Tennessee's been talking and communicating with Sam Leavitt's camp for the past week, but just now getting him on campus, this is what makes it real, in my opinion, in terms of Tennessee as a real player. Kentucky was in that conversation. I think Oregon is going to be a major player here. Moore's got to finish playing, like Dante Moore, the quarterback. If Oregon wins this week and goes and plays the national championship, this just extends another 10 days or whatever, or 11 days or whatever. If Dante Moore loses and he goes ahead and declares for the NFL draft, then that opens up a spot for Oregon, and many believe that Sam Leavitt would like to follow in line with the Dylan Gabriels, the Bo Nixes, the Dante Moores, and transferring up to Oregon to try to complete his college career, and there's been a lot of success there. So I think Oregon could be a big-time factor in this one potentially. LSU is obviously a team to watch. Tennessee is now right in this running, they have a seat at the table now. It's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens here. Also, again, like we talked about in yesterday's show, Joey Aguilar, there's a hope, I wouldn't say expectation, but there's a hope that there will be some resolution to his court case, to the court case that he's a part of right now, some point this week, but you just don't know. You just don't know. And, of course, we talked about Ty Simpson and the possibilities there, and, I expressed that I thought he was going pro because it's a really, really weak quarterback market this year. And but if he were to enter the transfer portal, then Ty Simpson would be a realistic option here at Tennessee. Well, that's never going to happen anymore. So Ty Simpson's completely off the table. Joey Aguilar's a potential, but you can't bank on that. So now Sam Leavitt becomes really, really real. And it's going to be interesting when they get to the negotiation table and start talking money and all that. How much is Tennessee willing to spend? I think the quarterbacks in this transfer portal cycle are not worth what the market value there's for you. But hey, as people tell me all the time, you're worth what the market says you're worth. And so good on them. I just think that they're way too expensive because I don't think that I think Sam Leavitt's a really good quarterback. Don't get me wrong, but Brendan Sorsby should not be making $5 million this year. You know what I'm saying? Like that's incredible. The reported $4 million for Williams to go back to Washington and evidently got a better deal trying to jump in the portal. I mean, goodness gracious, like these numbers are outrageous. So what's Tennessee willing to spend on a quarterback that will be here for a year, most likely? I don't know. We'll have to see. But the fact that Sam Leavitt is coming to campus for a visit, it means it is real. And so I'm intrigued to see kind of how all this plays out. Tennessee, I would not say at the time of this recording, and there are always some things that can happen coming out later in the day before this goes live at midnight. I wouldn't say Tennessee's tearing it up in the portal right now whatsoever. More on that here in segment number 2. But this would be a big move the needle tight get, obviously. And what's the timeline here? Hopefully we'll get some clarity, once he leaves campus and we can speak to him. What's his timeline look like? Is he going to say a week to 2 weeks? Is he going to leave here and go any other places? I don't know, but it is a big deal that Sam Leavitt is here on campus taking a visit. And, if Tennessee were to get a Sam Leavitt, he would miss spring practice most likely, but he would still be here for the entire spring semester. That way he can learn the offense, win over his teammates, kind of get ready to get out there on the field and start repping this offense full speed. So we will see what happens. Sam Leavitt to Tennessee, I don't know. Could be interesting. We'll continue to track his visits and everything that comes from this right here on Locked On Ball. Some other names to be mindful of: Tennessee in the transfer portal, and an evaluation on how Tennessee and Josh Heupel have done so far. That's coming up next. We continue on here at your Thursday morning Locked On Ball. Stay tuned. Let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming. Between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where your money actually goes each month, it's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has time to track every transaction or hunt down those hidden fees? I know I don't. That's where Rocket Money comes in. The personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I was shocked when Rocket Money uncovered all these different subscriptions that I forgot that I was paying for. You can call me crazy, call me silly, call me irresponsible with my money, but I'm sure it's happened to you before. Things you're paying for that you forgot about. Rocket Money found those things, got me back on track, lined some things up, and, also has a really good customer service policy as well. So people that can help you. Let Rocket Money help you like it helped me and get your financial goals, help you reach them faster. Join rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. You won't be upset that you did. Hey guys, welcome back into your Thursday morning Locked On Vols. Do want to reiterate a couple new names that are on the board for Tennessee. It's a busy time. Visits happening, coming and going on campus right now. Names are added and dropped all the time. A name that was scheduled to be on Tennessee's campus Wednesday evening to begin his official visits. That is Francis Brewu, Pittsburgh defensive tackle. I did the comp on this, or not the comp, but I did the research on this player, looked at everything that he's accomplished so far. He was an honorable mention All ACC this year. He started 9 games of the 13 games, 51 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks in 25 games for Pittsburgh the last 2 seasons combined. He broke out this sophomore year, 36 tackles, 1 sack, 7 TFLs, 1 forced fumble, a career-high 484 snaps played, 6'1", 280 pounds. He's a defensive tackle, originally a 3-star rated prospect out of Columbus, Ohio. And again, he was an honorable mention All-ACC this year. He was named to the All-Freshman team by Pro Football Focus last year after his rookie campaign. He'll have 2 years of eligibility. So Brewu was on campus, the defensive tackle from Pittsburgh, and I think that's something to monitor. Tennessee desperately needs help on the interior of the defensive line. At the time of this recording, it feels like Tennessee's in a real good spot with Xavier Gilliam from Penn State. Of course, was coached by Jim Knowles. Andrew Jackson, Tennessee's edge coach, is now here at Tennessee as well. Didn't coach Gilliam specifically at Penn State, but of course there's some connections there. Notre Dame was involved there. Notre Dame is also the heavy hitter for the Pittsburgh defensive tackle that I just spoke on. Indiana was involved with Gilliam. Feels like Tennessee's in a good spot. We'll see if Tennessee can get it to the finish line officially. An update on a cornerback prospect for Tennessee, a cornerback target, Troy cornerback Jaquez White. Really liked his makeup. Was at Troy last year. Had 3 picks. 6'1", 190. Was on campus a couple of days ago. He committed to Virginia Tech, and this kind of stinks because I thought Tennessee was in a real good spot right there, but of course didn't get that one done. Another name that's come to light that Tennessee fans should probably start familiarizing yourself with: DeWayne Lane, safety from Penn State. Again, there's a lot of Penn State players in the portal that are giving Tennessee a look and a fair shot because, again, there's some connections there. Anthony Poindexter coached this guy. Jim Knowles coached this guy. It's the same deep. That's why anytime you hear a name from Penn State linked with Tennessee defensively, you should get excited, in my opinion. I'm not saying that Penn State was an All-American defense this year. It wasn't significantly better than what Tennessee was, but they know the defense. They know the terminology. They know the coaches, and they can help accelerate from a communication standpoint to their new Tennessee teammates if they were to come and sign and play here. So I think that's pretty interesting. But DeWayne Lane, he's primarily the third safety for Penn State the last couple of years, kind of the top backup. in 2 years at Penn State. Combined for 44 tackles, 2.5 TFLs, 1 sack, and 1 interception. He started 3 games this year as the third safety. He recorded 290 snaps played. In coverage, he was targeted 14 times, gave up 11 receptions for 139 yards and 1 touchdown. He had 1 PBU. 6'2", 205 pounds, originally a 4-star rated prospect out of Gilliam High School in Baltimore, Maryland. That is DeWayne Lane, the safety from Penn State. So I mentioned him. I mentioned the Pittsburgh defensive tackle, Francis Brewu. Sam Leavitt we talked about in segment number 1. Some guys who are going to be on campus. Lyric Rawls, the safety from Kansas. He wrapped up his official visits earlier on Wednesday. Cain Lee, the cornerback from Auburn, a brief stop at Tennessee yesterday, just about 5 or 6 hours. He's one that Tennessee's very much after, and we'll see what comes of this. But with White committing to Virginia Tech, maybe you put a lot of pressure on Lee to not leave campus and go ahead and get in the fold, right? I mean, I would if I was Tennessee for sure. Tennessee also expected to host Dylan Sikorsky, the guard from Oregon State. Cain Thompson as well from Slippery Rock. He's the Division II prospect, the track star, the guy that I talked about in yesterday's show. He's expected to be on campus. I guess it was late last night. Again, a lot of these guys coming in late Wednesday night, and the duration of the campus or the duration of the visit is going to be on Thursday. So those are some guys to pay attention to. Couple of visits that are scheduled to come later in the weekend or later in the week, which, man, Tennessee needs to work to get them to campus quicker. That's Tennessee's issue right now. And I'll get to this here in just a second. Tennessee's got to work quicker to get these guys to campus. This is not traditional recruiting where you want to be last. Again, more on that here in a moment. Here we go. The linebacker from Penn State, Amari Campbell, he's expected right now to be in on campus on Friday. Alabama duo of Quay Roussel, the edge, and James Smith, the defensive lineman, they're slated to be here on Sunday. We'll see if they make it in unless Tennessee can move that up. But those two guys who entered the transfer portal last couple of days from Alabama, high school teammates, feels like they're kind of a package deal. Don't know specifically if they're a package deal, but it kind of feels like that. They're slated to be here, but it won't be until Sunday. Tennessee needs to really work and try to move those up a little bit. So that's the updated names we have so far. Again, we'll see what comes from Wednesday night visits into Thursday. Hopefully some commitments will follow. Again, we'll see if Tennessee can get to the finish line here in the next little bit with Xavier Gilliam. Maybe by the time this airs, maybe that's already happened. It feels like Tennessee is still in a really good spot for the running back from Louisiana Lafayette, that being Zylan Perry. We'll see if Tennessee can get to the finish line there. There's a lot to get done. Tennessee needs to bring in a lot of guys, but I think they've done a good job of trying to at least get in the door. But overall, Tennessee needs to not let these guys leave campus. Tennessee needs to work to get these guys to campus quicker. You can't just be content if they're like, yeah, man, we'll be here this weekend. We'll be here Saturday or Sunday. Like, do whatever you got to do to get them here sooner, because they go to the LSUs of the world or to the Alabamas of the world or to the Georgias or, wherever, the Virginia Techs, like, they might not make it to your campus. So Tennessee's got to do a better job in that regard moving forward, in my opinion, because it's important. You're missing out on some potential here. But again, like I always say, let it play out. This class may end up not being very good, okay? Or it could be okay if you let it play out. We'll see what happens, but that's the latest with Tennessee in the transfer portal. All right, when we come back, we'll talk a little hoops. Caleb Jarreau in a car on his way to Atlanta at the time of this recording. The quality's not the best, but he does say some good stuff. That's coming up next. We continue on here. It is your Thursday Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. Hey, I want to welcome on to the show from the Daily Times, Caleb Jarreau, friend of the program, currently en route down to Atlanta to go see the Hawks and the Pelicans. Is that right?
Yeah, the Pelicans are seeking win number 9 this year, so I got to be there for it. It's a good opportunity tonight with no Trae Young.
Could not tell you literally anything about the NBA outside of what I see on my Twitter timeline. I just so checked out, don't care. More important things to discuss. Let's go to college basketball. Tennessee, a much-needed win against Texas the other night. Of course, first SEC win. It was a 9 o'clock tip, and so Gosh, the game didn't get over with until about midnight because, of course, it didn't start at 9 o'clock. How big of a win was this for Tennessee? A nice bounce back from dropping the SEC opener at Arkansas on Saturday.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, Cainer, is, like you said, the bounce back, and also especially how the front court responded to the, basically really going to Arkansas and disappointing mightily. And they responded in a big way, 44 points in the paint, dominated the boards. I think Texas had a couple offensive rebounds in the first half, but they bounced back from that. And really, the headline is Jacoby Gillespie with his career-high 34 points and really leading that offense. But I think what'll go unnoticed is you had three big men with double-digit points. So not only did your front court bounce back and your big men bounce back, but they did it in a big way, and it really led to the win. And I think for, Rick Barnes and that staff coming out of Arkansas, the biggest worry was that front court and those guys that you rely on to really play inside out how he wants to play with this team. They didn't perform at Arkansas and let them down, and also the two guard as well. So you didn't see Ethan Berg play against Texas after a disappointing performance at Arkansas. Rick said he can still earn those minutes back, but I think those are the two big things is you got a lot out of Jacoby Gillespie, and your front court did what they're supposed to do. And when that frees up your guards, it's a big deal.
Yeah, no Ethan Berg in this game, no Amari Abram in this game. Again, Rick Barnes is going to play the guys who are most consistent, and that's why DeWayne Brown just continues to play. I mean, was rewarded being in that starting lineup. It's been several games now, obviously. How has he adjusted early on into Southeastern Conference play? I know it's a small sample size, but, the other night, 10 points and, 5 of 7 shooting. He's really efficient on the offensive end.
Yeah, I think DeWayne Brown is a guy that, didn't receive a lot of buzz out of high school, but when you talk to the staff and you talk to some people who are high up in basketball recruiting, he was a guy that really got overlooked that Tennessee got in early on out of Hoover High School in Alabama, and he's really showed. He's physical, he's not scared of contact, he's smart, he doesn't foul when he shouldn't, and he also has, I think, great feel on the court is the best way to put it. We saw last year, the ways that Kai Ziegler was able to throw lobs to his big man. DeWayne Brown fills his spot, fills his space on the court, and he can find that empty space to really, get in the paint, get in that dunker spot, and get his. And I think to your point, that's a freshman. There was one point last night, Tennessee had 3 freshmen on the court. And I think coming into this season, you knew Nate Ament would be playing, but you didn't think you'd have 3 freshmen on the court at any point. But DeWayne Brown is a guy who has earned his minutes. He's looked really good. Like you said, 25 minutes last night after starting, 5 of 7 from the field. You want his rebounding numbers a little bit higher, but he was one of those guys that was in double-digit points last night against Texas. So the only worry now is, it's January 8th when the show goes out. Does he hit that end of January wall like you see freshmen hit sometimes when the scouting report gets out? But for a guy like him, he's not afraid of contact. He knows how to not foul, how to play physical, and Rick Barnes really likes the way he's playing right now. And honestly, as everybody who's followed this program, if you do your role and play your role at a high level, Rick Barnes is going to reward you with playing time. And I think you see that right now with DeWayne Brown.
Yep, no doubt about it. Again, he's in the lineup right now because he's earned it on the practice court. He's earned it in the limited minutes he got at the beginning of the season, and now, there's no reason to take him out. Plus, you like what you bring off the bench, with Jalen Carey and J.P. Estrella and some of these other bigs. Talking about that freshman wall, and, everybody knows who Nate Ament is. Some of the takes are outrageous and just crazy right now. But the fact of the matter is, everybody was told he was going to be this all-world guy, and he's not playing like that. He's struggling. He's still going to be an NBA first-round pick, okay? If he played up to half of his potential, he would be a lottery pick, but he's not doing that right now. Why is he struggling? Arkansas, he struggled a couple big-time violations. Last night, 5 turnovers. What's going on with Nate Ament, and is it one of those things to where you just got to play it out and he can figure it out and still be a big part of this team moving forward? For Tennessee to reach its goals, he's got to improve.
Yeah, I agree that he has to improve, and frankly, I think it's a long-term investment from this Tennessee staff. Because you look at Nate Ament, he's playing a role that he really didn't play in high school. Obviously, when you're his size, you're a 4 or 5 at the high school level, and he's kind of stepping out to the perimeter, trying to learn that position, trying to play that. And I think you still see him as well, especially early in the season too. He was trying to do too much. When you come in as a 5-star, the highest ranked recruit in program history, you've got a lot of eyes on you, a lot of pressure. And we know whenever you play for Rick Barnes as well, I wouldn't say it's bad pressure, but you're expected to do a lot if you're going to play for a coach like Rick Barnes and this staff. And I think really it's a long-term investment for them, but you're seeing improvement game by game. Obviously, you want more than you've gotten out of him so far. But one thing I liked last night, he didn't try to do too much, Cainer. 2 of 4 from the field. He ended up getting 5 rebounds. Fouls were an issue, but they were calling everything. in that game against Texas. So, there's good things, there's bad things. The turnovers have been really worrisome recently. But again, his usage rate and the way he's having to dribble the ball and play on the perimeter is a lot higher than high school. Do you wish that he was getting a little bit better at this point? I would think so. But you also wonder, too, a lot of it was he was going to come to Tennessee, put on weight, go to the NBA. You start to wonder if maybe this is just his frame and what it will be, and if that's just what it is for the future. But I do think it's a long-term investment. And I think, we've seen him improve from game one to now, and I think he'll still improve from the end of the year. But the real question now is how much will he improve? Because if Ament is playing to what you expected when you recruited him, you're probably, pushing Sweet 16, Elite 8 as your ceiling. If he's not, this team, the first weekend might be a struggle, because when you get in the tournament, one hot shooting guy versus Jacoby Gillespie as your main scorer, and you start to have worries and issues in the tournament. So I think it's all a long-term investment to what happens in the postseason. It's a tournament sport, but I agree that, you wish you'd see a little bit more improvement than you do now, especially against some of these good teams. And the road isn't getting easier either, because, that men's team is going down to Florida to play at noon on Saturday, and, they know who Ament is, just like every other program does, and they're not going to take it easy on him.
Yeah, you look at Jacoby Gillespie, 18 shot attempts against Texas. The next closest was DeWayne Brown, Jalen Carey with 7 shot attempts. JP Estrella had 6. He's going to have help, and that was Nate Ament early in the season. They were both taking a lot of shots, but, of course, Ament was scoring a little bit more. We'll see if he can work himself through some of those struggles here in the early SEC slate. Last thing I do want to ask, save the best for last, I guess, Jacoby Gillespie, phenomenal effort, 20-plus in the first half the other night. He's a different point guard. He is a scorer. He is not a facilitator. Still learning how to play point guard for Rick Barnes on the defensive end as well, but he's the best thing going for Tennessee right now. He was really, really good the other night, and without that first half, man, Tennessee would not have gotten to where it was, which was, ultimately a pretty convincing win there by the end of the ball game.
Yeah, I think Jacoby Gillespie got it started on the defensive end against Texas, truthfully. You look at 3 steals. He was playing good defense against Texas. And then he got 5 assists. Like you mentioned, Rick Barnes has been really tough on him a lot this month and last month to be more of a point guard, be an assist guy, dish the ball out, and not just score. And I think you're seeing that help take some pressure off of him, because if you have to worry about him passing the ball, all of a sudden you can't focus on stepping up and guarding him. And then you look at what, like I said earlier, the front court, too, took a lot of pressure. And last night, especially, Texas played a lot of drop coverage on those ball screens and really gave him some space. And he took it. He took a shot from probably 35, 36 feet that banked in at the end. He would take a shot from toes on the line. He would take a shot from somewhere in between. And it seemed like he was just making everything. So I think it was just one of those nights for Jacoby Gillespie. But I think that's what you wanted when you got him out of the portal, was as good as Zakai Ziegler was defensively and as a true point guard, Tennessee lacked offense at times, even with Zakai Ziegler on the team. And now with a guard like Jacoby Gillespie, if he continues to improve his assist numbers, continues to improve, how much of a playmaker and facilitator he is, that offense is there too, to where if Tennessee needs a bucket, he can get it for him. And a career high 34 points against a Texas team that, while they're probably going to be bottom half of the SEC, you're still playing a Power 5 SEC basketball team. And he finished with 34, very efficient numbers as well. 12 of 18 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3. Didn't feel like he was ever forcing anything, and just kind of let the game come to him. And I think, just like I said with Nate Ament, for Jacoby Gillespie early in the year, he really was trying to force the ball, taking ill-advised shots, driving on big men, and now he's just letting the game come to him. And Texas gave him those shots. He took them and finished with 34 points and a win.
Rick Barnes now 5-1 against his old team since becoming Tennessee's head coach, that being Texas, and now they're playing each other a little bit more frequently, but that's not even a storyline. It literally didn't dawn on me until I saw them shaking hands. I'm like, oh wait, yeah, that used to be this big deal. Now it's nothing anymore. Anyway, Tennessee now improves to 11-4 and 1-1 in SEC play. Caleb, thoughts and prayers heading through Chattanooga. That place is pretty brutal on the roadways. Have fun at the game tonight, and we'll get you back in better position to bring you back on the show again here coming up soon.
I appreciate it, Cainer. Let's hope for a Derek Queen and New Orleans Pelicans win tonight.
I don't know who any of those guys are. All right, Caleb, we'll see you. Great stuff there from Caleb Jarreau of the Daily Times. Really appreciate him stopping by and talking a little Tennessee hoops with me here on the show today. Apologize for some of the hiccups there. Again, he was in a car. Sometimes we do the best we can do, but the audio I think sounded good enough to air. So appreciate him taking the time. And Tennessee basketball, good win the other night. Man, 9 o'clock tips. That is Not cool. We'll continue to break down where Tennessee stands in the transfer portal coming up tomorrow. Maybe there's some news by the time this episode airs. Again, sometimes that's just kind of how it is. Things move a mile a minute, but wherever Tennessee is in the transfer portal, we will give you the up-to-date information the best we can right here on Locked On Vols. How did the Sam Leavitt interview, or how did the Sam Leavitt official visit go? What about some of these other official visits that we're getting on into Thursday? We'll talk about it. All that and more on a Friday Locked On Vols coming up tomorrow. Appreciate you guys as always, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday, everybody.